Ta-dan, ta-dan. Should we trust the news? Luckily for me today, there's not much red and there's not much blue, but there is a lot of pink, which is one downside, but I think we can manage ahead with that. Let's start today really strong. Alright, here we go. Should we trust the news? The news nowadays, it's now on the internet. We used to go ahead and read them on newspapers, and if there was any fake news, it would take us about 1 to 3 days to figure it out. Either that, or sometimes it even took 1 whole week, because sometimes news printing presses were all the way on the other side of the country, which took 1 week to get ahead or around. Regardless though, nowadays we have the internet, which means instant knowledge, and that also means instant sharing. Instant sharing includes, well, instant knowledge, and lots of biased people will hate their own little knowledge to be contradicted a lot. So in the end, we have a very big trust issue of the news. The news has started to become less trustworthy nowadays. If we go ahead and look at some graphs, you'll probably say, they trusted this much in the olden days when they would just steal newspapers. But later we go ahead and that popularity and reasoning starts to go down a lot. Mainly because of, well, lots of people on the online are all like, hey, I want to get this for the views. Views equals money, and money equals life. Hey, ha, 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 ha. But nowadays, we're going to go ahead and talk about should we trust the news. As always, we're starting with the pros first. Now, the pros say that some news stories that are called fake news are in actuality trustworthy, mainly because of those news that are people being talking about someone else. Let's say Donald Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump with his blonde hair. Donald Trump. We go ahead and he probably calls a bunch of his news fake news because, well, it always talks about him in a very bad way, according to a 2016 study. And according to the book, which is apparently an example in the book, a very, very sensitive topic, but I gotta use it, especially since we're in the Trump presidency 2.0. Later we found out that those news were in reality really trustworthy. But let's go ahead and talk about something else. Alright, here we go. Now time for the cons first point. Now the cons first point is that the fake news is a big problem and makes it hard to know what sources to trust. Like literally, look at something like Honey. Honey goes ahead and advertises itself as, hey, we're a really good browser extension that goes ahead and gives us coupons. Heh. We go ahead and find a bunch of coupons for you, and we can go ahead and see everything else, like save 90% on pizzas. And the next step, of course, we go ahead and at the second point of the pros team. Now the pros team goes ahead and says that journalists can use the internet themselves to go ahead and check the facts to make their stories as accurate as possible. If they can make their stories as accurate as possible, they are able to go ahead and go through leaps and bounds throughout the world, because the internet itself is perfectly reliable. Wikipedia, it's like 80% reliable, and we can always edit it. And if there is some part that is obviously not true, well, people will always edit it back. And you can always check other credible news articles to compare it with yours. Alright, the second point of the cons. Here we get the fake news stuff. Fake news gets spread quickly on social media, mainly because it goes viral. Very, very sensitive topic goes viral on social media. And lots of people who don't know how to do it properly, well, they are the ones who get all the hate. Mainly because it gets a lot of attention, and so shares happen a lot. Now for the third point from the cons team. Now these guys goes ahead and say that people can use the internet to go ahead and check the facts in news stories and learn which ones are the ones to trust. Here are the ones that we go ahead and trust, and we can learn things too. Newsgrounds is an app that goes ahead and literally tells you which ones are not biased, and if they are biased, how biased they are, and by how much they are biased. Not sponsored. This video is not sponsored by them, by the way. And then the third point of the cons is that people can always use social media to pretend they're reporting from a major event when they're literally not there. Like, they can go and say, hey, I was here, and usually sometimes those people even put in a green screen background, but that's kind of obvious because glares are very, very similar, are very differential, and you can literally see their contrast. However, sometimes you can go ahead and fake it with really good technology, and sometimes the views might be worth it, mainly because you are able to get a lot of money from that. those people are scammers and you should never trust them. Yeah, even the ones who do it say you should never trust scammers. Alright, the fourth and final point from the pros team is that journalists themselves are trained to be fair and to be accurate and to report the truth, with the exception of possibly Fox News. And that is in the book itself too. Go ahead and trust it yourself. This book is kind of outdated. And then the fourth one too. The fourth one here, we go ahead and finally go ahead with the last point of the cons. Journalists can make mistakes, and sometimes having those biases kind of affect the reporting, which is why unbiased reporting and unbiased reporting literacy, news literacy is very important. You can go ahead and change what you see. Journalists can always make mistakes, and that's it. That's it. Overall, should we trust the news? In the end, lots of people will trust the news, either way or not. Those people who don't trust the news, they're probably going to go ahead and live in a life of disinformation, and they'll only find things through their own eyes, which is not going to be a lot. So in the end, this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, Shunhan out. Peace. Bye bye.